I'm excited today because today we get to talk to somebody who I think I saw at the beginning of your, like, the inkling of the idea of your business. And now it's turned into, I think it's evolved into something much bigger, and we haven't caught up recently. But today we have Katrina Green on Anatomy of a Hustler. I'm Janice.
And I'm Cope.
And so Kat, tell us, one, what are you up to now and what brought you here today?
What am I up to? So right now I am taking my coaching classes so that I can actually use the skills of a coach in helping people organize their lives. Because now, before when you had met me, I was a consultant, which I still kind of am.
So when I first met you, what was the business that you were trying to start?
It was professional organizing, but I think back then I was nervous to want to introduce it. Mm-hmm. And then two, because I literally did not know anybody here in Sacramento. I was just kind of like grasping as to like, maybe this works, maybe that works. But I think it started out, I believe I was pitching that I wanted to do like a cleaning business for like bongs. To like go, like, you know how like when you get groomers for your dog and they have like a little truck outside, so yeah. Kind of that, like that. And I did kind of like got to that, but like when I looked at the pricing and how much it's really going to, it doesn't work.
It didn't work?
Yeah, no.
So the bongmobile never panned out, huh?
Damn it. I wanted it to work. I remember reaching out to like a smoke shop and asking like if this is something that they offer, like, because I genuinely like cleaning bongs. Like, it's so intricate and you need to get in there. I was like, this makes sense. Like, oh my gosh, like, or in California.
It's satisfying too.
Right.
To see that go from resinous mess to like polished glass, there's
exactly.
something there.
And use a toothpick just so you can get everything. But then I wanted to, so I think I proposed to them, whoever comes in, do people ask questions? Like, has anybody ever asked if you clean bongs? Right. And then they said, like, well, they have the one, so this is one of the main reasons why you could actually just get the enzyme cleaner and then do it yourself. Mm-hmm. But then, like, but what about they don't want to do that? Right. So there wasn't any market for it. I wasn't really trying to build the market for it. So I just scratched that. And also back then I was just like, well, again, like, I'm in California. Why not explore the cannabis industry and find a niche that I can kind of connect myself in?
Mm-hmm. Right. And that was really hot back in, what year was that?
Yeah, 2016 was when we met.
I think it might have been, yeah, when we met. But I remember like cannabis was so hot because it had just become legal. So everyone was doing like a convention. Everyone was trying to be like, I can do advertising specifically for cannabis, and all these businesses had spawned out of it.
Yeah.
And then, so did you have the name Badass Homelife when you had this idea, or was that something separate?
Yeah, so Badass Homelife actually started as my blog back when I started it in 2016. It was a cleaning, like I was trying to do like eco cleaning, sustainable living kind of type of content. But it wasn't connected to the weed. I think I just found myself in spaces where I wanted it to connect. Like I was just like, well, why not?
Right.
But the intention was really Badass Homelife really was the intention to talk about sustainable living, minimalism, and eco living.
And so then from there, where you started to pivot. So you realized, I'm not going to create a market for this.
Yeah.
I'm in California. I thought they wanted it. They don't want it. And so where do you go from there?
So I had other, so my husband's friends, they realized that I was an interior designer. I moved here in 2016. I already had like a license to do interior design. So they were like, oh, okay, you have the skill set, blah, blah, blah. But I really wanted professional organizing. It's like, that's what I really wanted to do. So I was kind of introducing it that way, where like, these are some, like I finally met people here in Sacramento that I could call myself friends. And so they wanted me to design their houses, but for like the fraction of the price.
Right.
Oof, yeah.
Because like at that point too, like I was waiting for my visa or my working permit to go through. So I can't really do anything. That's why I started the blog. I was already just at home. I might as well do this. And from there, after that, so like during 2016, 2017 was when I was starting to really explore the idea of I could really do this. Like I could do professional organizing as a thing. But I was like, how am I going to make money? I'm in a foreign country. How does one create a business in a foreign country that I don't know anybody?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was like, all right, maybe I should get a job.
And then where are you from? Where did you come from, for those who don't know you?
I'm from the Philippines.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, Filipino, born and raised. I moved here when I was 26. I still know the language. My core people are still in the Philippines. But yeah, so like 2017, I was actually a sales assistant for a mortgage company. And then I was immediately promoted to be a loan processor. So I kind of liked it. I was just like, oh, cool, like buttons. Like you could be like, I was using my organizing skills to make things work, but then I missed the idea of having interactions with people outside of a corporate setting. So, and then my husband also noticed that like, you obviously don't look happy with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So he was the one who actually encouraged me to like, why don't you just try it? Like, why don't you look into professional organizing, and I'm here for you. Without that, I probably would have never like,
Wow.
yeah, because like I'm always scared. And again, like looking back, like I didn't know anybody, and this is a foreign country. English wasn't my first language, so just the idea that I have to promote something on top of actually bringing the business to somebody and then having a relationship with the client was just
Oh yeah.
No.
And then you have to ask for money after all
exactly
of that. Yeah.
dollars. Like
Right,
that I was
right.
another concept that like exchange. Like it was just nuts to me. It didn't make sense to me that.
Did you have a passion for this? Like, because it seems like oddly specific. Did this go way back when you were in the Philippines as well? Did you want to do this there, or when did you get the bug for organization?
So yes, I've always been, my mom loves sharing this story about me that whenever we go on vacations, I would put my my clothes and my underwear in a Ziploc and then label it as this is what I'm gonna wear on a Monday. This is what I'm gonna wear on Tuesday. And I was like maybe 9.
Oh, wow.
So it's always been something. My college friends would easily tell you that like I would organize their like drawing bags, like because we have like a lot of equipment in interior design. So like I just kind of like organize their wallets. When my friends in high school would like travel, they'd invite me over so I can help them pack.
Yeah.
So it was always there. And I think that's one of the reasons why I ended up in interior design too, is because I wanted to create an impact based on space. Like I wasn't like I don't think I would have made an impact if I were a talker or it wasn't the modality that I was good at. I was good at spaces. And then in 2014, I actually watched this show called The Amandas on, it's like our lifestyle channel in the Philippines called HDTV, or our HGTV version of, and The Amandas was basically like a show about a bunch of professional organizers that are in New Orleans, and they cleaned up after Hurricane Katrina happened. No, Hurricane Katrina happened like 2014. Yeah. And then that's when I was like, oh my gosh, it's an actual job. Like this is an actual thing that people do. So I looked into it 2014, didn't think of it. I also was still back in the Philippines. I was just like, this isn't gonna work in this in the Philippine market. So just something that I probably would never be, like a doctor. Like it's something that I wanted to do, but like I wouldn't do it.
Right.
So again, this is a dream come true for me to really like be able to do it. And I think I was just also, I don't know, like it's nice to be able to actually do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then how did you go from, okay, it's an idea, your husband pushed you, we're done with cannabis,
Right.
At least from a professional standpoint. And then a badass home life went from blog to business. What was that transition like? How did you start doing? Because you obviously in your head you're like market research is like the first step that you're trying to do. You're trying to validate your idea. Where did you look to next?
So I bought this program. Ann Bloomer was the one who made it, and it's called the Institute for Professional Organizers. And it basically gave you the guidance of how you're going to do your market research, which was amazing to me. So I looked at the possibility of it being here in Sacramento. I looked at competitors, and it turns out there are actual professional organizers in the area. And they have been here for a while. So from there, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I could do this. And in terms of building a business, I feel like as an entrepreneur, I need to be honest that like it wasn't all just a shoot up.
Really, it wasn't. It wasn't
that.
rainbows and
Whoa.
butterflies and just like that J curve going up with sales. Yeah.
It's mostly like this and then that. So yeah, I guess like to answer your question, like it's a never-ending process of figuring out the market, whether or not like, and to this day, I still have doubts of like, am I doing this right? Is this?
Can we talk a little bit about like your brand, like the word badass? I wouldn't say it's aggressive, but you had talked about the market in Sacramento. Like, how did they react to like that type of branding?
It definitely has. There are two different people that would accept it. Yet either you like it or you don't, and I kind of like that because I don't blend in, which for me like that's cool. Like I didn't want that anyway. Plus, it's funny you mentioned that. So on TV, they don't like using the word badass, so I don't really know if anybody actually knows me. They know me as Katrina Green, professional organizer, but I'm not allowed to say it on TV.
That's true. So the divisive point of being able to like market yourself nationally versus like, I mean, I personally loved it when I heard it and I was like, this makes so much sense, but holy cow, it's divisive.
Yeah, and I get that. And I think for me, I think I wanted that. Yeah. I wanted to attract the people who would completely understand it. And again, like, I did have that back and forth of like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this too much? But then like, if I do that, then I'm not going to allow myself to be that. Like,
Right. You're living like as a tapered version of yourself to be more marketable. I'm a big fan of being polarizing on the front end so that those ideal clients, customers, and really friends is kind of how we view it. They come to you because you kind of share a common bond around it where you don't really have to have the corporate mask up all the time to appease someone just to extract value from them, right? You can actually create a real connection with someone. And I'm sure that's really valuable for what you do coming into someone's space, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes. To that point, I had this lady, she called me and she was like, "Hi, badass." And she started saying, she actually is part of this cohort called Badass Entrepreneurs. And she's like, "I knew you were the right person that I needed in my life," and blah, blah, blah. So that is like, for me, those are the wins. I really don't care about like what other people, like think, like, or if I hear something, I try not to be bothered by it.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's for me, it's like my branding and I love it. It's like, it's a huge part of me. Like there are people that I've networked with that don't even know my name, but know me as badass. Like,
just badass.
You're badass. Oh my.
That's what I said right when I walked in. Yep.
And I like that. A part of me feels that I did a good job with marketing.
Yes.
Because I did that.
You're like one check mark done.
There you go.
So do you mind telling us more about kind of like the ups and the downs a little bit more? It wasn't super linear. What are some of the like, if you're willing to share some of like the failures along the way, the kind of like the downs of your roller coaster?
Yeah, so I think being very new to the country was really difficult at the beginning. Like that really played a part in building the business, and played a part in my confidence also in getting the business where it needs to be. So I would say that was going downward part. Another was when I wasn't raising my rates the way that it should. Like I started real low. Like, oh my God, what were you thinking real low? Like, but to counter that, like I'm at the rate where I want to be now. So that's the upside. What else? I want to touch on the networking aspect. I know that's how we met.
That's how we met, yeah.
And that for me was rough. Like networking was really rough. Like I think I told you this. Like it was rough. Like I couldn't find the tribe, or I couldn't find my people, and it was extremely exhausting to find it.
Yeah.
Like, and I felt like that took a toll on me, so much so that I was just like, I don't want to do the business anymore. If people were saying that you need to network,
Yeah.
and that's how you are to build your business, I don't
You weren't finding the
it.
right people.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But to counter that, I did end up finding my people. And now so for example, as a professional organizer at the beginning, I felt so lonely because one, like nobody really knew what it was. Two, in order for you to talk to like professional organizers, like they and looking back at it now, like of course they want to be paid because like time is money, you know? So now I respect that, but back then it just felt so alienating. Like, oh, they don't want to, like, you don't even want to help
A fellow
a tiny
organizer.
little organizer like me.
Right.
So that was another too that like I just again like I didn't really have that foundation to start with to even try the organizing here. So it was that. But now I'm active as the marketing director for the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. So it's ICD. I found another group of women here that I was active for a little bit, called Feminism. So it's a nonprofit, and we used to have like a lot of networking events for underserved communities. Because like again, you look at in networking. I think that's what I felt with networking. I just I didn't meet the people that could connect to the struggle, I guess. So, and that was what I was looking for.
Right.
But now I do. So that's definitely an upside of the entrepreneurship.
I think you spoke on something that more people, at least in my interactions that I'm finding, that more people are coming to the table with the word of tribe and being able to think of their expanded community as like a support network as well. Where my beef with networking is that it feels like a business card farm.
Yeah.
And it's so transactional, it's so brief, it's like speed dating. That's what it kind of feels like, where it's like, what can I extract from you? Okay, you're not stacking up, cool, on to the next one. And tribe is what it should feel like, right? You should be able to rely on someone, not to carry you to success by any means, but to be able to at least share space and to share your story and to feel supported when you're stepping out and doing the unknown and venturing out as like a little organizer, like you called yourself, but to like get to that next step and that next level for you to raise your rates or to be a part of bigger communities like you were talking about as well. And I would love to know a little bit more about what a community of organizers is like. I'm sure your meeting notes are just perfectly organized.
So ICD, there's definitely a lot of history that comes with them. Like they started out as the National Study Group for Chronic Disorganization, and then they became an institute because we have just a bunch of classes. Like we are education rich, and we have so much information that help people who are neurodiverse. So in that's like going back to that, the tribe aspect, like I found people who were extremely passionate about the things that mattered to me. And that was so crucial, because when you look at the professional organizing industry now, most of the people who are famous are
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo.
Yeah, Marie Kondo is like the first
products
thing.
where there's a little bit play of capitalism now, where like she's got her own line, and you know, like, oh, if you just buy this, you're golden. Or like the Home Edit, for example, where it's more luxurious. It's like, oh, there's a bunch of people who will come into your house, change your life by putting, I don't know, your books in rainbow colors or something like that. That's what most people know of as professional organizing. But with ICD, they've been around forever, since the 70s. And their goal is to help people who have experienced hoarding. They destigmatize, is that the right word? Like they remove the idea that like hoarding is such a
Right.
Like only bad, terrible people who don't have their lives together do that.
Right.
Yeah.
the show basically like exacerbated that concept, but like it's not really always like that. What else? The part of aging where people forget already things, like that's a huge organizing part too. But with the tribe aspect, it was really refreshing because I really was having a hard time already thinking that like, am I really doing, when I say like, am I really doing this right path? It's more of like questioning if I'm questioning the idea that like I'm not going for the pretty pantries. Like if you look at my Instagram, I'm not showing beautiful pantries. Like yes, my house is nice, but like that's not the case with a lot of my clients. And they're not Instagrammable or Pinterest worthy kind of results, but the client is extremely so much like you could tell that they're in a better space.
You're very functional, right? I think it's very satisfying to go on like I don't know if you've seen those like TikTok cleaning ones where they clean everything and they take you along that journey, or they organize, or you hear them slide the like soda can into the fridge, into that thing. Yes. And it's like satisfying, like tickles that part of people's brains where it's like, ooh, I love this. But like it almost feels a little unachievable, right? Like my house is not going to be like that. And that's, I think, something that you're differentiating yourself on.
Yeah. Yes, because now it's almost like an aesthetic. Mm-hmm. There you go. That would be the best way to put it. There's aesthetic organizing where I could do that, and I do love doing that. Yeah. But that's not the passion that I'm feeling. Like I want to help you figure your shit out. Like that's for me what I would rather do than recommend to you that like these are the products that I saw that like look good. You know, like I want to get into your brain and see how we can actually organize it.
Yeah.
I think just to mention something in your house, you said the restroom light is on the outside of the bathroom, which you know is unconventional. So you put a label on it. And so like, you're like, Janice, by the way, this is where the restroom light is, and it already has it labeled. And I'm like, cool, connecting the dots here. And that's just like an example of like function over aesthetic. Like, is it really sexy to have that label? Whatever, but it made sense to me.
Right. Yeah, I like the organizing where, and I'm not, I hope it doesn't come off as if like I'm looking down on that. It's just not my way of processing it. It's just not how I do things. So, and in this way, like what I'm learning with ICD is there's just so much more to doing bins and containers and decanting things. There's just so much more to that. Decant, yeah, because like that's what you see, like the ones that you were saying that like you remove it from like the pasta box and you put it in the. Like,
that's like, so wasteful.
And some people like would like, I personally do that, but that's for me. Yeah. You know, like, but it's not for everybody, and I think that's I guess to just wrap up this idea in my head is that like I wish people don't think that that's the only way of organizing. What they see on social media is not the only way to organize. There are so many ways to organize, and it doesn't have to be Instagram worthy.
I love that.
I love that a lot. So I would have thought that this approach is all aesthetic in a sense, right? And that it sounds like you have a very psychological approach of really wanting to understand who that person is as a human and build something around them that's more of an attainable organization method. So if you could just elaborate a little bit more on what that, like the psychological component is and how you kind of shape that around your clients.
So one of the things that I did fall in love with when I was taking up interior design in school was when we were starting to talk about design psychology and how that could heavily impact your way of living, like how ease of things are, and it's not just the aesthetic aspect of it. Like yes, it's beautiful, but in terms of psychological, like when you are designing a space, you're thinking about how you can make things easier for you. So it's not so much, and I think that's like my house is a good testament of that like if you look at the surfaces, there's really not a lot of aesthetic to it. But did I pick a good piece of furniture to make that work? Yes.
Yes.
So it's a matter of that like, yes, you can have a good aesthetic looking space, but it's far more important to look at it in a way of it being functional. So that's where I'm coming from in terms of like the design psychology of it all. There's a lot of things that come into play with that too, where let's say, what is it called? For example, ergonomics. That's under design science. And that's like the study of how close things need to be in order for it to be an intimate space. And for it to be like a more like us, like this is an intimate measurement of cultivating this kind of conversation. If you put me a little bit farther, then that doesn't work. So it's really more that. Did that answer your question?
You did, and then you started moving in a direction which I'm also equally fascinated by, which is practical examples, because it leads me to my next question, which was gonna be, what are some practical things somebody could start to apply with that mindset of like function in the space, and what, basically any advice that you would give someone that may want to clean up their space and make it a little bit more functional?
I could give you the 4D method that I always use, and I'm going to have like a course I'm working on a course that would really make this more elaborate, like have a more elaborate explanation to it. So the 4Ds.
Well, we want people to buy the course anyway, so don't give it all away. But
No, it's in my website, so that's okay. So the first one is dissect. The dissect aspect is when you are considering the way that your brain functions. So everybody functions very differently. I'll make it as an example for me and my husband. So he was diagnosed with ADHD in 2018. The way that I structured the house was not for an ADHD individual. So then now we've fixed it. Like we've fixed it. So I'll give an example. For example, he got into baking, and he wants all of his stuff to be in the same space. But my neurotypical brain says, that's no go. Like that doesn't work. But we now have it because we dissected the ideas to like, why is this important? How will this impact you? Why is your brain doing that? Not in a judgmental way, but like understanding for me is like, okay, he won't function the way that he wants to if I don't give in to this. So that's a dissecting aspect. It's like you talk it through. So if you're doing this with a partner or a kid, you observe like how they are instead of implementing your own way of thinking of what organizing looks like. Ask questions. Ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself why you want to have an organized space anyway. What is your intention? Is it to feel like you're not stressed out? Then we do that. That's your goal now. And then you look at, again, like your habits. Are they good habits? Are they bad habits? The bad habits, like, can we figure out like what would be the less bad habit to fix that? Or let's say a bad habit would be putting your keys where they're not supposed to be. Like your keys like on the kitchen counter instead of where the hook needs to be. Like, does the hook need to go a little bit closer to the garage? Is that why you don't see it? So it's really about observing like yourself. It's getting to know yourself. So that's the dissect aspect. And then the declutter is the next one.
Oh, fun.
So declutter is probably the hardest one for every individual. The concept of letting go of things and then like feeling like you wasted your money, but you purchased it. What am I gonna do? Am I just gonna donate it? These are the questions that you could ask yourself. Is there anybody in your life that would benefit from this piece of whatever? Would they like it? Don't impose it on them. Like, don't give them.
Here's a gift.
Yeah, it's like, here's my Tupperware. Yeah. So that's the first question. Second, do you actually really see yourself using it? If it's like, let's say, snowboarding gear that you use everyone, like that's fine, but you are actually envisioning yourself using it, so that's fine. The third one would be if it's expensive, can you sell it? And if you're selling it at the price, let's say it's gonna cost $20, like ask yourself what your hourly rate is. And that's how much, like, is this worth it? Like, the amount of time that I'm going to put in just so I could put it on OfferUp, is it worth it?
Right.
And nowhere of those questions was, does it spark joy, come up?
No, unfortunately
I think the last
not.
step of the process.
Does it
is
fuck
she
up your
thinks
life?
it-
Does it fuck up your life?
There
Does
you
it
go.
fuck up your
Yeah,
life?
so I think that would be like that. The for me, that's my version. Is like, does it fuck up the way that you're living?
Yeah.
And if it's a yes, like then why are we keeping it? And then the next step to that is designate. So this is when you have your keep items. This is what I've decided to keep in my home. I need to look for homes for these things. And that's where I guess like a professional organizer can come in. But if you want to do it yourself, I would highly recommend to not buy the things first. Like to really figure it out, map out. So
The containers and the lasers,
because you have to measure, like you have to figure out, like, is this really the right zoning for it? So for example, you're keeping, I don't know, a basketball. Do you use the basketball inside your house? Probably not. So can it go in the garage? Can it actually just stay in your car? Because like you're more likely to use it when it's in your car. So it's those things, like you're zoning, you're figuring out where you are most likely to use this item. That's where it should live. The last one is do, and that's the maintenance aspect. Like nothing, organizing is not a project, it's a lifestyle, it's a process. It's something that you really have to innately put as part of your life, your routine. And it doesn't have to be, again, like, I think this goes back to like why I don't want people to think that like being organized the way that they see it on TikTok is the only way to organize. It's because it's really not. Like you can be organized even if, like, let's say you put your keys in the fridge just so you don't forget it. That's organized. You know,
right.
That's a system.
Yeah.
Because another way of looking at it is that instead of using the word organizing, you think about systems and routines. If you just create a system for yourself, you're solid, you're golden.
That's awesome.
That was very helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense too. Thinking to some of the things that I've learned about myself in the process of getting more organized, getting rid of some shit, and doing and keeping that up has been a journey that my girlfriend could attest to my passes and fails as I leave the keys in random places, even though we have an area for them. But there's a strange level of peace that comes from it, though, that I found for myself personally, and I'm sure you can speak to some of that as well for some of your clients and that transformation that they may see even outside of their space, I'm sure.
Yes, so there are definitely studies out there that prove that clutter can heavily impact your mental health. And it's also mostly women that get impacted with it. And I'm not going to get into that, but to tap into what you were saying, there's a little bit of, what is it? There's an actual chemical in your brain that it's not serotonin. Is it serotonin, like the good kind? Okay, so when you feel that, when you're saying like that feeling of calm, yeah, is definitely connected to that. And having an organized home, knowing where things need to go, like there's a sense of like not having to worry about it, not having to worrying about if there's food inside your fridge, like, because you know that there is something in there. But yeah, systems definitely like help alleviate stress. It helps you not to worry so much. A lot of the stress that we feel is worrying as to like, oh my God, there's so much clutter, or like, oh my God, when am I gonna get to this? But as soon as like you kind of reach that point where like, all right, I'm gonna hunker down, I'm gonna do this, you'll start feeling the stress really like Like I've my favorite thing to tell my husband when, because he picks me up after my sessions, is it's a good session if my client cried.
Oh, wow.
Because I have seen so much happy tears of like, I can't believe we did that in 4 hours. It's something that has like bogged them down for so long. And to release that and to exist, like to literally like release that from like the shackles of clutter, it's so powerful. Like I like, it's so nice. Like it sounds so wrong to like say like, I like it when my client cries, like, but it's so powerful, and it's such a good feeling to see somebody just because of stuff.
Right.
You literally just got rid of stuff, but the way that the stress gets released, it's amazing.
I love it.
That's awesome. That actually makes me want to clean my house so bad. And I want that. I'm like craving that like peace. So what's next for Badass Home Life, or where are you at right now with it?
So when I mentioned that I was taking coaching classes, that is the next goal, is to do some coaching. So there's this thing called Organizer Coach, and I'm not entirely sure. I might be wrong in this, but my boss, Denslow Brown, she does coach approach training, and that's basically she trains professional organizers to learn coaching skills in order to help their clients figure out their systems a lot better. Mm-hmm. So the concept behind that was when she has ADHD herself, mm-hmm. and she felt like everybody just was so misunderstood in that sense. Like they weren't leaning towards that. It's always like, oh yeah, it's so easy. You can just like put a basket in there, you're good. Right. It's not that easy. So having the coaching skills, which I'm learning now, I will have a better chance of helping somebody who is neurodivergent or not neurodivergent in exploring the way that they really need to organize. Versus as a consultant, I'm the expert. I am giving you suggestions and recommendations of like, oh yeah, that getting like a 6-bin system, you're fine. That's what's gonna work.
Yeah.
But with coaching, I allow the client to figure that part out.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. So how is that gonna change your business model?
It's gonna change it a lot.
How so? Is this something you can do like online or like?
Yeah. The goal is to separate the consulting, which I'm essentially doing now as a professional organizer, and offer coaching for those who really want to. I just explained this like a couple days ago to my husband that think of it as like I'm giving you an option to do it. You know how like in video games, like you can go and have like a different route to like do things.
Yeah. Choose your own adventure.
Side quests.
There you go. Like we could either do plenty of side quests and you explore a lot more about yourself, and there's far better chances of you attaining the do part of organizing. Or we could go the, easy way that like you're just gonna beat all the enemies and then like we're done.
Right.
And that was the best explanation ever, because it just clarified it in my brain. So like, consulting versus coaching, what the heck are you talking about?
Because I'm like the hero, like in that sense, like I'm the hero. Like in the other one, you're the hero.
I wonder if you're gonna like probably market it like that.
I was thinking about it because like I do like the idea of. I think one of the things, to go back to your other question, that one of the struggles of being an entrepreneur is that like in social media, you have to have this persona, or in my head, that's what it was.
I'm like rolling my eyes because like we all know, like we know it, like everyone knows that people's personas are not who they are in real life, but we accept them for there and we look up to them sometimes for their persona, not for who they are as a person.
Right, and I have this is why I appreciate podcasts and the opportunity to really like express myself fully in this sense is because I don't think I'm capable of doing that on camera. Like I overthink as to like, is that the personality?
Wait a minute. Wait, there was a period of time where you were producing videos, where you were center stage. What do you mean?
And I did not like it. So now I'm not, right?
Okay, yeah. It was, in the past. I remember seeing it.
So now I was just like, I need to really learn I think it comes with it's not that I don't feel authentic, it's just that I still don't have the ability to exude it on camera.
Yeah.
And
And
that's not
it's
everyone's
hard.
skill set. Yeah, it's a skill
Yeah.
set.
It is. It's a challenge because we create a lot of resistance around it. And if you've already had all these other thoughts of just getting out to do it as a business, then to look in the lens and do it like this, it's like, oh no, it makes people cringe. It's
Right.
a lot of build up.
Right. And now I'm just really exploring the balance of like, I still want to show up in my authentic self. I'm still badass Homelife. Like I still want to exude that. So the video game aspect, like that is me. Like I would do that, you know?
Has this mindset of like being able to use like podcasts or like other press been the way that led you to like get into the New York Times or Real Simple? I was stalking a little bit. You have all these articles, and what I love, it's like Katrina Green, Sacramento. So shout out to Sacramento, but also shout out to you. Like, is that the not wanting to be on camera, has that led you to these other pathways?
I would say that those pathways were definitely out of luck. They definitely like just reach out. Like it started out it started out with the apartment therapy feature that I got in 2021, I think. Yeah. No, it was 2020. And that opportunity led to more and I'm so happy anyway. Like, I think that's like, I don't know if they all talk to each other, like reporters. Like, I don't know.
They're in the same vertical.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know if they actually like, oh yeah, you could like work with her. And they just kind of kept coming. And I just kept giving the information that they were asking for. And I think that's like more, I would rather that my credibility than have to
build it yourself.
and to do the trends and stuff, because it just didn't work for me. Like I just couldn't do it. Like I want to, but I just couldn't do it.
I
Lacked
love it though.
authenticity, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I want to, but I also I can't find. I guess like that's more of like on a personal level. Like I just need to find that part of me first.
Yeah.
That like this is the persona that I.
But it's
want.
not holding you back from being successful, or do you think it is?
In terms of social media, I would say I'm not growing as I used to be, but I also haven't posted anything since June of last year, I think.
Okay, so you still gotta put yourself. You got time. Yeah, we're only 2 months into 2023.
Yeah. I plan to go back. Like I definitely have plans because like I'm gonna promote the course. I wanna have that course, and I want people to understand what the course is about. So that's more of like where I'm gonna go. But I don't think you can expect dancing like reels, you know.
Darn. You just lost all credibility for
Bye.
me later.
Awesome. So, what is a piece of advice that you would give the younger Katrina about starting a business?
Oh gosh.
And it can't be don't go clean bongs, because I
Yeah.
feel like that was an
That was.
important
I think
part
that's
of your
yeah. That's
journey.
perfect.
You know, I'm glad that you preserved that in time, because that's such a little tiny
It's stuck out
part
of my memory because I
of
looked
what-
at it.
of what my journey was, and like I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. But and also to add to that, I did go to like cannabis industry events.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I remember you telling me that, and the reason why it stuck out so much because I was like, "Oh, she'll figure it out." Like, I wasn't
as bad
gonna
as
dissuade
Homelife.
you. I was like, "You had to figure it out yourself." Yeah.
Yeah, but I did it as badass Homelife. Like
Mm-hmm.
I catered the organizing
Yeah.
to the cannabis industry, which
Love
I
it.
was like, all right, cool. Like,
Oh, and it
I'm
needs
here.
lots of organizing.
I'm here to find people that will root for you. I think that would definitely have helped me with the self-confidence to build a business. I think businesses are just like, I don't know, I'm just making this up, 70% self-confidence, 30%
Whoa.
execution.
Yeah, I don't think you're making it up.
I don't think you're
telling
making
the
that up
truth.
at all. I don't think you're making it up at all.
So if I had that and just like really had but like the advice that I probably would get is to like find the people that would root for you for the silly things that you want to do.
I mean, I did not stop you at all. I was like, go do it. Let's see how this pans out. And then I followed up with you and was like, how'd it go?
Fuck around and find out.
Let's go. Awesome. Thank you so much. Where can people find you? Where would someone go to obviously hire you for your amazing services and approach? Where can people get in touch?
So my website is badasshomelife.com. I am pretty much everywhere is Badass Home Life. The only one it is Badass Home Life LLC in Facebook, Badass Home Life on Instagram, Badass Home Life on YouTube. You can find me there pretty much.
And when do you expect the course to drop?
Ooh, good question. I would say give me a month and a half.
Okay.
And that should definitely, you should start seeing me
We'll see you on social media.
slanging that in
Yeah.
Instagram.
Will you do one last thing just because I want you to do it? Will you do this into the camera?
Oh, yeah.
Which camera should she look at?
Okay. There. I'm legit.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was so much fun.
That was fun. Did you have fun?
Yes.